Hello everyone, welcome to Movie Talk. Today I'll be starting my new series on this channel that is the Directorial Debut, where I will be reviewing, analyzing, and commenting on the first movies of a lot of directors. I'll be choosing each director for various reasons. My favorites, long-term directors, yeah, a lot of directors I'll be talking about, and I will be reviewing their first movies and commenting on who had the better directorial's debut and making probably a ranking in the ending of the videos. Today I'll be starting with who's currently my favorite director currently and a really great one that is probably one of the greats in the history of cinema, that is Steven Spielberg. The movie that I'll be talking about was his directorial debut, of course. There was Duel in 1971. Businessman Dennis Weaver drives alone on a side road when he suddenly finds himself chased by a truck driver. After some time, he comes to the conclusion that that man intends to kill him. Since the beginning of his career, Steven Spielberg has shown a lot of good directing skills. This movie is all about a chase of cars, basically, and it's wonderful. Of course, it's not perfect, but we'll get there in a minute. Steven Spielberg knows how to direct chase sequences, and if he didn't, probably this movie would be a disaster because the entirety is chase sequences, but he has no problem doing not just direct this movie but also edit. Of course, the person who edits the movie is the editor, but the director, he is the person who commands everything and everyone, so the editing is also from Steven Spielberg. He's not the editor, but he makes the final choice, so that's why I'm saying that he makes a good direction and editing. As I said, the movie is basically all about chase sequences. However, there are moments with no action where we think that our protagonist is safe and therefore we can relax a bit. And oh boy, are we wrong. There is almost no time to relax in this movie. We are always tense and afraid that something will happen to our protagonists. And this is another thing that I have to give credit for this movie, is that even though we have no backstory and almost no character development for our protagonist, somehow we still care about him, and we still get worried that something will happen to him. As I said somehow, but I know how. It's because of the direction of Steven Spielberg. It's not because of the script that we get into the character and into the story. It's the combination of the script and the direction of Steven Spielberg. The movie isn't perfect, and as I said, the direction is pretty good because of Steven Spielberg. I'm biased. I have to admit that I'm biased. But the direction is pretty good, but it still lacks some experience. We can see that it's a amateur work, probably because of the budget of the movie. I'm sorry, I couldn't find the budget anywhere in the internet. So I remember hearing that it was like $400,000, if I'm not mistaken, which obviously isn't a big budget. For the time, it was bigger than it is nowadays, but it's still not anything special. $400,000 is it's not a low budget, but it's definitely not high, and maybe it's because of the low budget that we see that this movie is amateur and is cheap. But I think that Steven Spielberg can take our minds out of that stuff and just immerse ourselves in the story and in our protagonist's head, where we can see that he's not totally stable mentally, but that's because of what happens in the movie, being chased by a truck driver. Before talking about the not so good things about this movie, I have to highlight one more thing. As I mentioned, the budget of the movie. Is this a movie made for TV? So everything, equipment, staff, everything was limited. And one thing that isn't neither good nor bad is the soundtrack. Like the theme is good. Like, I think there is only one or two themes in this movie because, as I mentioned, TV movie, and they're good when you take it out of the movie and put on your headphones and listen to it. But when you are but when you're watching the movie, I don't think it properly fits in the movie. I don't think it's properly I don't think it's properly what the story is trying to tell us about. I don't think the soundtrack was well put on during the whole movie. The acting is nothing special. I will not say it's bad because it isn't, but nothing amazing. It's average. My main problem with the movie were the characters' decisions, especially not especially just our main character's decision. It was looking like it was a horror movie with the amount of stupid things that the main character did. I'm not talking about one scene or two. There are several scenes where at least I think that he makes stupid decisions, and I think that we could enjoy much more this movie if the main character did something that probably the audience would make. The ending of the movie is a bit depressing. I'm gonna spoil a bit of the movie, so go to the timestamp that appears here. I'm gonna talk about a bit of the ending of the movie. I can't spoil you much. I just can it's the movie is all about our main character going through a road, and then there's a guy trying to kill him. That's everything that happens in the movie, so I can't spoil you anything besides the ending. There is where the things, yeah. Go to the timestamp. Go to the timestamp. So I'm not sure if I enjoy the ending or not. Like, it's not a happy ending, but things turn out okay for our protagonist. The truck driver, I think, died. There is a crash in the ending where there is our main character's car, and the truck goes for our main character's car, and goes down a cliff. And I think the buzz no, it's not a buzz. The truck driver died with the cars and the truck, but our protagonist had time to get it out of the car. And I don't know if I enjoyed that ending because I think things could just turn out okay for our character. Like, he even says in the movie that he can't go faster, but the car could definitely go faster. Like, he just couldn't. But that's something that doesn't happen in real life, because people, when they're scared or afraid that something will happen, especially if they are being chased, they will just put down the throttle and they'll just go. And our main character was saying that he couldn't do that because I don't really remember why he said that. He just said that he wasn't accustomed to, so he couldn't do it. But that's not how it works. I think there could be a more logical ending to this movie. There was he could just forget about the truck driver, just do a 180 and just go back to his house. There is a dialogue. Well, it's not dialogue; it's a monologue where our protagonist says, "Well, I'm definitely not going to make it in time for my appointment." So where he says that he's not going to make to his appointment on time. So I think that the more logical thing to do was just to get back to his home, like forget about the road. And I think he could have done that. I think a lot of people in the world, like in real life, would do that. So that's again my thing. I don't like the character decisions. In average, it's a good movie. I give it a 7 out of 10. And making the ranking for the directorial's debut, right now there's only Steven Spielberg with Duel. But as I'm going to make more videos about this series, there will be other rankings. I think this was a pretty good job that Steven Spielberg made. There is a 89% approval on Rotten Tomatoes with an average of 7.8 of rating, which is pretty decent in my opinion, and I think this was a good directorial debut. There are of course best and bigger directorial debut throughout a lot of directors, but I think that Steven Spielberg had the right put on the right foot, and I'm glad that he did this movie because it didn't went to cinema. It was just a TV movie, but it was good, and I'm happy that he made the movie because nowadays he's my favorite director currently, and it all started with this. So I'm gonna say goodbye to you, but before, I just want to say that there will be a lot of directors in this series, and I can start talking about some that I have here listed. So the directors that I'll be talking about in the next videos will be Taika Waititi, Martin Scorsese, Alfonso Cuarón, Zack Snyder, and Wes Anderson, Greta Gerwig, Darren Aronofsky, and some more directors. I don't have here listed all, but I can tell you that I forgot to put here some directors like Michael Bay, Christopher Nolan, and things like that. So yes, I'll be talking about a lot of directors. So guys, let me know in the comments what you think about this movie. Do you think it's a good movie? Do you think it's a bad movie? Do you think it could be better? Tell me your opinions, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.